Nussbaum takes the concept of objectification and challenges its supposed infinite negativity and objectionableness, proposing that there is a broader spectrum of objectification that need be explored because the prior views she discusses are limited. Although she does agree with much of what McKinnon and Dworkin say, she says to really understand the concept of objectification as a whole, as in the full spectrum, from negative to positive, must be taken into account. So Nussbaum's main point or argument is that not all forms of objectification are morally objectionable. To differentiate between which forms are objectionable and which aren't, we must look at the context of the situation. Context is everything in deciphering negative objectification from positive objectification. Since context is everything, according to Nussbaum, in many, if not all cases, the difference between an objectionable and a benign use of objectification will be made by the overall context of the human relationship. To quote, "Objectification has features that may be either good or bad, depending upon the overall context," end quote. Objectification is negative when it takes place in a context where equality, respect, and consent are absent. Among the negative objectification cases she discusses in her article are Hankinson's Isabelle and Veronique, Playboy, and James the Golden Bowl. And it is benign or positive when it is compatible with equality, respect, and consent. Nussbaum gives an example of benign or positive objectification. If I am lying around with my lover on the bed and use his stomach as a pillow, there seems to be nothing at all baneful about this, provided that I do so with his consent, or if he is asleep, with a reasonable belief that he would not mind, and without causing him pain, provided as well that I do so in the context of a relationship in which he is generally treated as more than a pillow. Nussbaum identifies 7 features involved in objectification. 1. Instrumentality, the treatment of a person as a tool for the objectifier's purposes. 2. Denial of autonomy, the treatment of a person as lacking in autonomy and self-determination. 3. Inertness, the treatment of a person as lacking in agency and perhaps also in activity. 4. Fungibility, the treatment of a person as interchangeable with other objects or people. 5. Viability, the treatment of a person as lacking in boundary integrity. 6. Ownership, the treatment of a person as something that is owned by another that can be bought or sold. 7. Denial of subjectivity, the treatment of a person as something whose experiences and feelings need not be taken into account. While treating a person as an object in one or more of the ways mentioned is often problematic, Nussbaum argues that when objectification takes a positive form, it can constitute a valuable and enjoyable part of our sex lives. Nussbaum's list of the 7 features involved in objectification and the relations that exist between them provides perhaps the most systematic analysis of the concept of objectification to date. But it can be argued, as it has been, that Nussbaum's conception is too broad. A person is objectified, according to Nussbaum, if they are seen and or treated as an object in one or more of the 7 ways that she mentions. If every time a person is treated or merely seen by another, say, as an instrument for some further purpose, we take it that the person in question is objectified, then it seems that in our daily lives we objectify nearly everyone, including ourselves. Inevitably, we use each other and ourselves instrumentally all the time. For instance, I use a taxi driver as a means to get to my destination. I use myself as a means to prepare a meal, etc. If objectification is to be a meaningful concept, maybe we need to restrict it. On the other hand, Nussbaum herself seems to be concerned at times about her objectification category being too inclusive. For example, she states that sometimes we do not treat the occurrence of only one of these notions as sufficient for objectification. In addition, she suggests that once objectification's association with the morally problematic is weakened, there is the risk that the fight against negative objectification might be undermined. Undoubtedly, objectification is a concept difficult to define, as Nussbaum also acknowledges, since it turns out to be, quote, slippery and multiple. How to best define objectification and whether this notion should be restricted to describe the morally objectionable or expanded to cover benign and/or positive aspects of the way we see and treat each other, our daily lives, is an ongoing debate. More comprehensive philosophical analysis of objectification will hopefully lead to more understanding of this notion.